Item 10, the local development plan submission to planning inspectorate for examination and regulation. That's pages 22 to 1702. It's recommended that Cabinet recommends to full council the Harlow Local Development Plan pre-submission publication be formally approved for submission to the Secretary of State in accordance with Regulation 22 of the Town and Country Planning Local Development England Regulations 2012 as amended. The updated local development scheme, Appendix D to the report, is approved, and that delegated authority is given to the Managing Director in consultation with the Leader of the Council and the Portfolio Holder for Environment to make and approve any minor and inconsequential amendments to the documents to be submitted in support of the Harlow Local Development Plan pre-submission publication arising from completion of ensuing technical studies. Who's moving that? Councillor Purton, and I'm seconding it. Are there any questions? Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Well, obviously, I apologise for the thickness and the weight of the local plan. Obviously, it's an indication of the amount of work that has gone into producing the local plan, that has to go into producing the local plan, because it is a very technically heavy process. I have to admit that there is a typing error in the local plan report, which is on paragraph 12, which at the beginning, fortunately, on the first few pages. And the following sentence has been omitted, which obviously will be included after tonight. The following sentence is, 3 petitions were received seeking to remove, in total, 8 housing sites, brackets, east of Catherine's, south of Clifton Hatch, Riddings Lane, Fennels, Pollard Hatch, 2nd Avenue, Jocelyn's and Barmead, close brackets. The sentence will obviously be added to the report before next Thursday when it goes to the full council. As the Chair has already explained, the recommendations are in 3 parts. First of all, to approve the plan. Secondly, to approve the scheme, which is on a separate piece of paper, which is the timetable for producing all the different aspects of the local plan. And then obviously the ability between now and when it's submitted to make any minor inconsequential amendments. We've discussed the details of this local plan, not only in the council on a number of occasions, but obviously the details, technical documents and progress has been the subject of routine local development plan panel meetings on which members sit and obviously receive reports from officers. So I'm sure everybody's relieved that I'm not going to go through the whole report. What I would like to do is to bring members up to date with some developments that have occurred since the last time this was discussed. First of all, I've been able to withdraw the official objection that I had made on behalf of this council to the Epping Forest District Council plan. Because the two specific parts of my objection, which were first of all that there was no details of highways shown on the plan, and secondly that there was no indication of how they intended to provide social housing. Both of those elements have now been addressed to my satisfaction, so I've been able to withdraw my official objection to the Epping Forest District Council plan, which I have to say Epping Forest were very grateful for. Secondly, the Garden Town Board on Monday, just gone, the 10th of September, a joint strategic master plan master planning procedure was agreed between us and him and endorsed by the Garden Town Board, which sets out the process by which the master planning will be done, involving obviously the planning authorities, the developers and the community. And that's why I wanted to mention this, because the procedure makes specific reference to the involvement of communities, and I would want to encourage us to begin to promote this to our communities. I asked for confirmation that as far as the Epping development beyond our boundaries were concerned, that the communities that would be involved in the consultation could be over the boundary, in other words, Harlow communities, and that was confirmed. So I think we need to look very positively now at communities being involved in the process of strategic master planning, because in that way we can ensure that they have their say, and they can be sure that any benefits which they may accrue to the community are delivered in the way that they would want. So I hope that we would take advantage of that process. So, obviously you've moved the three parts of the recommendation, Chair, and I second.
Thank you, Chair. On page 27, paragraph 18, it says, the County Council has raised the need to increase capacity of household waste facilities to accommodate the growth across the Garden Town. Now, I appreciate the rest of the paragraph talks about the enterprise zone not being involved in that. Would it not be prudent as part of this local plan process to be factoring into the local plan that we've all seen strategic sites that could accommodate something like this, as it is a future planning project for the next 30 odd years? I appreciate that discussions are ongoing here, but it would seem strategically prudent to do that.
Yes, Chair. I have in fact prepared a report for the Garden Town Board on what is called a consolidation centre, which in fact we investigated for Harlow when the Olympics was on, whether we would be able to, nothing came to it in the end, but we're well aware of this, and the report, I did a detailed report on the promotion of this, and the officers have taken the report away and in fact consider that they can actually have a greater involvement. I mean, for the benefit of members who perhaps don't know what a consolidation centre is, it's a means by which the materials that are going to be used in construction can be delivered to a central place and then delivered as and when they're required to the actual sites with sustainable transport, probably electric vehicles. This not only ensures that there isn't a lot of materials stored on site, which often can be damaged and take up valuable space, it ensures that there is materials are stored in a safe, dry space, and ensures that there's minimum transport around the town, and that waste materials are efficiently collected and disposed of in a sustainable way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Charles.
I'm grateful. That's all very fascinating stuff. The principal question was about household waste facilities. What I do look forward to is councillors being able to see the report that has gone to officers. What I was specifically asking about is factoring into the local plan a strategic site, because we need to factor that in for the next 30 years and the expansion of housing in Harlow. But I'll make more progress. My next question is on page 26, paragraph 12. As you would expect, I've raised this consistently on behalf of my residents in Old Harlow, Jocelyn's playing field. Now, I've seen in paragraph 12 the officers are satisfied with the process that they have undertaken. However, Jocelyn's Park is landlocked in effect. It borders a dual carriageway, and the narrow access to Jocelyn's Park is bordered by two houses on Broadway Avenue. How realistic do officers believe plonking nearly 10 or so dwellings is with the right infrastructure in place? It seems to be, it doesn't really stack up.
Well, I don't know. We have no specific proposal at the moment to plonk 10 dwellings on that site. I suggest, obviously, if any proposals do come forward, that's the time to make these points during the process of the plan application. But I think that we're well aware of the difficulties of this site. The indication of the local plan that it could accommodate 10 dwellings is really an indication of the development potential. It's not necessarily represent our intentions. And I would suggest on this site that Councillor Charles keeps calm and waits to see what happens.
Well, I'm grateful for that sleight of hand by Councillor Purton. The fact remains is that this authority has designated it a site that could potentially have 10 or so dwellings, and it hasn't factored in the infrastructure needs and the lack of facility to accommodate that. So this will be an ongoing issue for local residents, but I'll make more progress on another question. Councillor Purton has refused to respond to the Churchgate Residents Association and myself about the closure of the road and the allegations there. He made an elaborate accusation that a number of authorities were involved in an internal investigation which was proved false. Will he now make a cast iron guarantee that Churchgate Street's road at St Nick's School will not be closed?
I'll take that one, Councillor. My understanding, Councillor Charles, is that any decision regarding closing roads is for Essex County Council to make.
I'm grateful for that.
Could I also add comments, Chair?
Councillor, if we could...
We're grateful for that. The reason for that question is Councillor Simon Carter and I were briefed by Graham Bloomer and a planning officer about their support for the closure of Churchgate Street Road in consultation with Essex County Council. Actually, it's Harlow District Council and Essex County Council who have been discussing this. I, as the local ward council, am trying to get to the bottom of this and get a definitive answer that that road will not be closed. That's all I'm looking for as a ward councillor.
And the definitive answer will come from Essex County Council.
No more questions from me.
Any further questions? Councillor Hart.
Thank you, Chairman. I have 4 questions. The first one actually relates to the East Herts local plan, in which, not in one but 2 places, it has been amended to say that the sustainable transport corridor running north to south will now not go to the south of the town, but only to the urban area of Harlow. Whereas on this policy document, they're clearly shown it's going. Can you clarify what the actual position is?
Yes, the sustainable transport corridors are, because obviously we're planning this jointly with East Herts and Edwin Forest District Council, are shown connected between Gilston down to south of Harlow, to south west of Harlow, to east of Harlow. They're quite clearly shown. I would suggest, if from what the councillor has said, the bit in East Herts is shown as the bit in East Herts. But it certainly connects with the bit in Harlow. That's what a corridor is.
Supplementary to that one. Obviously, perhaps it's an anomaly that East Herts might clarify for us, in that our corridor might stop at the boundary, who knows. But
It certainly doesn't.
But, well, that's not what their local plan says.
Well, their corridors.
Councillor,
there we go.
But I understand there's a study being done at the moment about what these sustainable corridors are going to be, because there's been no detail or even, well, anything. Can you perhaps hint at what options are being considered for these sustainable corridors?
Yes, the council is quite right that these are the subject of one of the numerous work streams that's been established by the Carlton Town Board. and the sustainable transport corridors are to contain facilities for, in priority order, walking, cycling and public transport. They may not all be provided on exactly the same line, but they certainly are provided as part of the corridor. There are a number of, obviously with walking and cycling, it's fairly obvious what the provision would be: a safe, continuous, fairly as level as possible surface on which to walk and cycle. The question of what public transport provision will be put forward as well is obviously the subject of more debate about what our aspirations are, how high our aspirations are for public transport, ranging from an existing deregulated bus service, which is the lowest possible aspiration, which I don't particularly find very exciting, or up to a purpose-built rapid transit system, which is obviously the highest aspiration, which I think is what we should be aiming for. But no decision has been made yet. There's still all those details under discussion, and even when it's decided, obviously it'll be several years before it's provided.
Thank you. Third question?
Yeah, another three, unfortunately. Again, going to the East Herts local plan. It specifies the enhancement of the existing crossing, Store River crossing, into a dual carriageway, which is fine. It also specifies that there will be a second crossing. How is the second crossing going to be delivered in Harlow if the landowners involved do not cooperate?
Well, I presume the council's reference to the second crossing is the second Stork crossing, which is shown at the moment on the plans that have been submitted for a HIF bid, which is a scheme that Essex County Council and Hertfordshire County Council have bid into, whereby the government makes available funds for infrastructure that will enable housing to be built earlier than it would otherwise be built. It was agreed between Essex and Hertfordshire that Hertfordshire would be the lead authority in submitting the bid. It's been through the first part of the process and now into the second part of the process. This envisages a connection from Hillston Park development, or East Herts, part of the Garden Town, across the Stork Valley and connecting into River Way at a new roundabout, approximately at the junction of the entrance to where the HTS depot is, just over the railway bridge. The part of that route, which nobody's decided yet whether that would be the A414, but part of that route is obviously the subject of considerable road improvements that are taking place at the moment, which is obviously, some of them have been done, some of them are underway, some of them are only at the early stages where the utility diversions are being made along Edinburgh Way. But that is the Essex part of the new route.
Thank you. My third question again relates to East Herts, but also to Epping. You've said on many occasions that the whole local planning process in the area is collaborative. I'd like to ask you how many of the 3,170 affordable rented homes in the East Herts local plan will be offered to the Harlow waiting list, and similarly with the Epping number?
Yes, Chair. That is one of the considerations that's in one of these numerous work streams as to how we can look to combine our housing lists I don't know of any outcome to that discussion at the present time. I'm not personally involved in that particular work stream. It's not something that I have a direct role in, but I know there are discussions taking place about how the social housing that's required to be provided on all the sites will eventually arrive with, you know, how tenants will arrive at those social housing units. The details of that process are still, I mean, we haven't even started looking at the strategic master planning yet, let alone that sort of issue. It's early stages. More work to be done.
Excellent. My final question, I've saved the best for last, because you didn't mention it in your presentation, is the level of response to the Regulation 19 consultation. Do you feel that 72 responses from a population of over 90,000 is adequate for the local plan process?
Well, given that as you know, we all know, the Regulation 19 process is consultation about the procedure that we followed. It's only to be expected that the representations that have been made are connected with the procedure, and I would have thought that, well, whether that's enough or not is a subjective view. But certainly, I would say all the questions that we were anticipating are covered in those representations. There wasn't anything, I don't think, that we didn't expect, and there wasn't anything that was missed. So we did, you know, the right amount of representation in the sense of the content.
Thank you. If I can just add to that, of course, we have heard the concerns about consultation in this room many times before. If Councillor Hardware is correct, then I dare say the inspector will pick up on that. But I'd like to assure him that we've had the process and the plan looked at by a barrister, and he sees no reason not to proceed.
I just find it rather strange that there is a question here that considering the response you had to the Regulation 18, which is about 126, that you were actually very much forewarned about that this was an issue, and that you should have really followed. I mean, also John Kempner said that the response was not adequate, and considering your neighbours in Epping did put a lot of effort in, they did spend money to do a proper programme to engage with their residents, and they did, for their Regulation 18, get over 3,300 responses, and then 1,000 for their latest Reg 19 consultation. Why didn't you follow that example?
I think you have to accept that Epping has far more strategic sites to deal with than Harlow, and all I can answer is, as I did before, we have heard the complaints, we are satisfied, and the barrister has said he can see no reason why we shouldn't proceed with submitting this to the inspector. Thank you. Councillor Carter.
Thank you. I wasn't actually going to ask a question on this important issue, but I'll pick up on two of the answers, one to Councillor Charles and one to Councillor Hardware. I was a bit confused by this paper because, as Councillor Burton has just explained, it's only Regulation 19 on the process. But on page 885 of the agenda, object respondent, Mrs. Baldry, she says that the Fennels field needs to be removed as a proposed allocation site for housing. And the comment underneath is...
I suspect that's the proximity of your iPad to the microphone.
Stop.
Talking to use IT at the same time.
No. Must be yours. To which the reply is, change the plan, proposed Fennels field housing allocation site to be removed. Now, there are two issues here. One is that the response is nothing to do with the process. And second, it seems that one person can actually sort of change the whole policy by arranging for a allocation to be removed, I'm not sure how many houses were proposed for sale, but I suspect there were more than 10. But the council can't remove potential 10 sites on a landlocked site. So I'm just wondering how it all works and why one's allowed and why one removal is allowed and another one isn't. In fact, why an objection to the actual plan itself is recognised and commented on, acted upon, when we're only supposed to be dealing with the process.
Can I just explain, for the benefit of Councillor Carter, that where it says change the plan, it doesn't mean that is the change we're going to make. That's what the representation is asking for. In other words, the summary is the commentary on the details of the representation. The change to plan is what they're asking us to do.
Okay.
It's not what we've decided to do.
Right, okay. So why are you commenting at all when it's not about the process?
We're not commenting, we're just stating what the respondent wants us to do.
Why are you including it in the pre-submission document?
That's what they've asked us.
But it's nothing to do with the process.
All these objections we're simply setting them out as they were received.
Sorry, Chair, I'm even more confused now. This Regulation 19 has always been put forward as a consultation on the process. Nothing to do with the plan, can't do anything about it. But there's 134 pages of comments which they've received. Now, if they're going to incorporate some people's comments, why can't we all comment and do the whole thing properly?
Well, Chair, we don't control what people comment. We invite representations and people write in with their representations, and we reprint them in here to make sure everybody realises they haven't been forgotten. But obviously the nature of a Regulation 19 consultation is that we are basically asking people to comment on the soundness of the process.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Statements? Councillor Harlow. Councillor Harlow.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to get my notes up again.
Was there something you wanted to say? Was there something you wanted to...
Sorry,
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my notes up. I've always harped on about the lack of effort on behalf of the council in terms of this consultation. They could have done an awful lot more to engage local residents, even just make local residents aware. The fact that you didn't has just been demonstrated by the discussion that's taken place. You also didn't explain what a Regulation 19 consultation is, and people who did know about it didn't understand what they were supposed to be commenting on. So I view this as an abject failure by the council, and I'm sure the inspector's going to pick up on this.
Thank you. Any other statements? I'd like to make a statement. This is an exhaustive piece of work. I've been in attendance at some of the meetings, and I'd like to congratulate the officers that worked on it. It's been painstaking and a huge mountain to overcome. And I'm very pleased that we're in a position where we can get it in before the deadline of the 24th of January. Councillor Kirk, summarise? Right, so are we agreed to recommend, the Cabinet recommends to full council items A, B and C of the local development plan submission planning inspectorate for examination under Regulation 22? Agreed. Thank you. Moving on.